Welcome back. Now we're going to discuss the vaccine debate and how it's being filtered through your television set.
Yeah, that's right. And the latest piece of ridiculous propaganda comes from Netflix's Daredevil series. And we actually wrote an article on this yesterday. Netflix's Daredevil pushes measles vaccine. Propaganda scriptwriters refer to vaccine skeptical parents as idiots. And I have a report that I did on this actually yesterday. I guess I put it out late last night. And I actually showed the clip in there. So we're not going to show it now. I just want to go over a few things in this. So this article came out in February. Marvel Daredevil Netflix series starts production in New York this summer. Well, then they officially wrap production December 22nd, 2014. The director of the last episode put this tweet out on December 21st. And so then right after that, we find that here it is right here. The first measles vaccine coming out of Disneyland, who owns Marvel, came out December 28th. So
Wow.
I immediately started going, wow, they totally predictive programming. They knew this was going to happen. You know, my wheels started turning into that as well. And then I said, wait a minute. Maybe something was going on in like March, springtime 2014 with measles. And it turns out there was a New York Times article that was talking about how measles was spreading through medical facilities right at that time, March. I think the article date is like March 11th, 2014. So then I'm like, okay, well, the writers probably saw this and decided to write it into their script. And there's probably nothing pre-predictive programming about this, but they were referring to parents who didn't vaccinate as idiots. And then I point out there was another measles outbreak in 2011 that was traced back to a young lady who was 22 years old and fully vaccinated. And it gets better. The Disneyland measles outbreak was traced back to an Amish person who supposedly brought it over from the Philippines. Well, I did some digging back when that was going on. And here's from the Department of Health of the Philippines. And I'll scroll, it's really small writing, but in 2012, there were only 92 cases in the entire country. And they say if you have that means you have to at least 60 true measles cases at present. Measles is said to be eliminated if there is 1 case per million or below 100 cases in a year. So they had 92 cases in 1 year, and they're saying we've eradicated measles out of the Philippines, yet this guy brought it back from the Philippines because he was staying with 5 people who had it in a house in the Philippines. So if this vaccine is so great, how did he get it and bring it into Disneyland? And then how did it spread from there? Because there was even an LA Times article, which I'll go to in my report, which talks about how 5 of the people that were spreading it around and had caught it were workers at Disneyland who had been vaccinated.
Right.
So it's just another example of how these things really happen.
Well, and that's really interesting too that you bring all this up. I didn't even realize that was going on, but I was covering the SB 277 vote last week going on mandatory vaccinations in California, and I thought it was really interesting that the 7-year-old, the little boy that was being, he's going through cancer treatment for his childhood leukemia, and he's being kind of the face of this movement, calling on the politicians to not allow other kids that aren't vaccinated to come to school and harm me. And he's out there kind of being paraded. Well, it turns out that his grandfather is a consultant for GlaxoSmithKline. So, nothing
conflict
kind
of
of
interest
sketchy
there.
there.
Please,
Absolutely.
no.
But also, if you go and look at their own page that they hand out to people who are going through cancer treatment, if you go through their documents there, they'll say, avoid the recently vaccinated. Don't hang out with people who have just recently gotten these, measles, mumps, rubella, this, that, because they're live vaccines. And it specifically said that. But they've changed those documents right about January, February. And so now that warning is no longer in their pamphlets.
Well, in their pamphlets, but if you read in the actual insert, it'll say stuff like, don't give it to pregnant women. We haven't tested to see if this has reproductive harm. Yet they have tons of vaccines now that they want to inject in pregnant women.
Well, that's just crazy. It's like the vaccine agenda is so intense that they would actually remove warnings for cancer treatment.
Exactly. And you have another one from Law & Order, NBC's Law & Order, that was another, and that was even more hardcore.
To just show you how in extreme with all this behavior placement. So this was an NBC's Law & Order, and the episode revolves around a measles outbreak in an elementary school due to parents that didn't vaccinate their children. Once again, with idiot parents have this whole measles outbreak when many times it's traced back to the recently vaccinated because it is a live virus.
And that process is called shedding. You shed it for up to 2 weeks. You shed the virus out of your body, so you are contagious.
Right.
And it's documented.
And when you're around,
that's part of the
babies,
science they tell you not to look at.
Yeah, the little babies. Now, obviously, it should be noted that when you watch television, your brain instantly your brain waves go into the alpha state, which is where you're very susceptible.
Oh, vaccines are bad. In fact, we have the promo clip. This promo clip is out of this world, the way they edited it. It's about 25 seconds long. Let's go to that now.
How do you feel?
I'm fine. Dad says I should go to school.
7 students confirmed with measles, 4 others possible.
How? They had to have been vaccinated.
These moms never vaccinated their kids and lied about it. Vaccines are harmful.
You are endangering the health of every child in this city.
Liv, no, it's turning blue.
Call 911.
All new SVU next Wednesday at 9, 8 Central here on NBC.
And that was just 25 to 30 seconds of just hardcore in-your-face propaganda. Imagine if you had to sit through 48 minutes of that, which is what the average length of an hour-long program is. Notice they call it program. And then you have all those commercials in between for all the wonderful pharmaceuticals they want to sell you, because you get to prescribe yourself, just ask your doctor. But
and they don't have to disclose that. They don't have to disclose their ties or their product placement.
And I don't want to let Marvel off the hook either. As being part of this whole thing. They came out, this was in 2010, Marvel Comics, Captain America says tea parties are dangerous and racist. And in this article by Warner Houston, here's the actual page where it talks about, it even says it right here, I don't exactly see a black man from Harlem fitting in with a bunch of angry white folks, is what Steve Rogers says to his buddy as they have things like stop the socialists, teabag the libs before they teabag you, America for sale, no new taxes, America, not Americant, no government in my Medicare. I mean, these are just angry people signs, angry at their giant bloated government that wants to suck them dry.
Oh, but that's not Captain America.
Yet if you don't like that, you're suddenly a racist. And, it's just like, what? If you feel that way about the government. But in contrast, if you watch, as we did last night, we put a video out about the new Avengers. Captain America seems to be the only one on that team with like a wholesome set of morals, which is nice to see. Because I think he's putting out a good message there, contrasting it with all the AI craziness that was going on in that movie. So I think that about wraps up that. We're going to go to the report that I did, I put out this morning along with the Don's article. So I encourage you to check out Netflix's Daredevil pushes measles vaccine. That is a great article. It's got a lot of other sources in it that you need to check out and see how the brainwashing works on that level. And so we're going to go to that report. And then when we come back from break, it's going to be David Knight sitting in the chair interviewing a representative from an organization of nurses who are against mandatory vaccination because they are on the front lines of all this healthcare scamming that's going on, and they see what it's really all about. And then after that, we got Alex Jones. So it's quite a packed evening here at the InfoWars Nightly News.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Hey guys, Rob Dew from Infowars.com and Infowars Nightly News with vaccine propaganda mass media video here. There's a quick report. I want to show you guys first a clip of a video from the new Netflix miniseries called Daredevil. And this was just recently released. It's actually a pretty popular series from the outset. It's even a little more popular than House of Cards. So this is, a lot of people are watching this. But here, let's show you the clip, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about it.
And the appeal?
No promises, okay? Now get the hell out of my office. I've got a measles outbreak to deal with because idiot parents don't want to vaccinate, and my best nurse is out with who the hell knows what. Now get the hell out of my office. I've got a measles outbreak to deal with because idiot parents don't want to vaccinate, and my best nurse is out with who the hell knows what. All right, so you see the kind of overweight healthcare workers saying she's got to deal with all these parents who don't want to, idiot parents, she calls them, who don't want to vaccinate their children during a measles outbreak. And you're saying, well, that kind of makes sense. We just had the measles outbreak in Disneyland. But wait, this is where it gets interesting. Marvel made the announcement that they were going to do the Daredevil series back in February last year. Here's an article from Marvel's website itself. Marvel's Netflix series to film in New York City. This was published February 26, 2014. Well before the Disneyland measles outbreak, which happened in December of that past year. And now we go to the next article. Marvel's Daredevil officially wraps production.
That came out December 22nd, 2014, and it was actually from a tweet from Stephen DeKnight that was dated 12:35 p.m., December 21st, 2014. Now, the state of California recently released the measles outbreak numbers from that Disneyland outbreak. Here it is. State of California measles outbreak that began in December, now over. It lists the first incidents that can be traced back to Disneyland for measles being December 28th, 2014. So I'm going to ask you this question. How can a show that was in production the summer before the Disneyland measles outbreak began be talking about idiot parents not vaccinating their children and the measles outbreak? Makes you wonder. Remember The Simpsons and the 9/11 magazine? And all the other instances of 9/11 that were going on in movies before? Is this a foreshadowing that was going on? They were trying to tell us that it was going to happen, and then it happened. Well, the measles outbreak didn't kill anyone, for one thing. And it didn't affect too many people in the end. It was sort of a bunch of hype just to get people to vaccinate their kids. It did cause people like Jimmy Kimmel to come out and say it. You idiot parents, you stupid parents. And he made his spoof skit with the doctors.
There is basically no reason not to vaccinate your kids.
No reason.
Which is why I cannot believe we have to make this PSA.
But I actually have a better explanation. I don't think it was Disney, who's owned by Marvel, or let's see, Disney owns Marvel. And so I don't think they put this in there and then it created the outbreak in Disneyland. That was definitely bad business for them. But let's look at a New York Times article from March 18th, 2014. And this would have been about the time that they started writing the Daredevil series. If the end of February, they're talking about it's going to film in New York, well, by that time they've already started probably writing a few episodes or outlining the series, and now they're into writing dialogue. So March 18, 2014, measles outbreak may have spread in medical facilities, a New York City official says. And this was about a measles outbreak that happened in New York City. But what's interesting is this came out April 11th, 2014, measles outbreak traced to fully vaccinated patient for the first time. Get the measles vaccine and you won't get the measles, or give it to anyone else, right? Well, not always. A person fully vaccinated against measles has contracted the disease and passed it on to others. The startling case study contradicts received wisdom about the vaccine and suggests that a recent swell of measles outbreaks in developed nations could mean more illnesses among the vaccinated. And this is from sciencemag.org. So this is a science organization putting out this information. So when they say the science is settled and you have to have your herd immunity, you have to have 98%. Well, the Disneyland measles outbreak was traced back to a missionary worker who went to the Philippines. And I showed you in a previous video that I did that the Philippines has like a 98, 99% fully vaccinated population. Okay, so they're fully vaccinated against the measles, yet this person who was in a household with 5 others who had the measles then brought it back to the United States. So in the end, it doesn't look like Disney and Marvel came together to make this, put out this propaganda foreshadowing the fact that they knew the Disneyland outbreak was going to happen. I don't believe that at all. But what I do believe is they were putting out some propaganda, because it turns out that the New York measles outbreak that happened at the same time the Daredevil series was being written was started by a fully vaccinated individual. And that's why I always like to say, read the damn insert, parents. Okay? Not the sheet of paper that they give you when they try to scare you into getting your vaccines. Read the actual insert of the vaccines and see what all the side effects are, all the published and unpublished data that they have out there. That is where you need to look. That's the best place to start. This has been Rob Dew with Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv, and Infowars Nightly News. If you're not a member of Prison Planet TV, please consider becoming a member today. It's your subscription that helps fund all the things you see here at Infowars and sending out the reporters. We got 2 reporters now out in Baltimore covering the riots. They're also in D.C. right now covering what's going on there. So it's your support that helps us do all this, and we thank you once again. If you are a member of PrisonPlanet.tv, and if you aren't, you're watching this on YouTube, go to PrisonPlanet.tv and sign up today. Thank you very much.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste.
Tastes like Austin water? Yeah, it does. Ugh.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered through the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
Yeah, it has that processed flavor to it.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances and many more, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today. Use promo code WATER and save 10% off your ProPure purchase. Again, that's InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
Did you know that only 6 corporations control 90% of what millions of Americans see, hear, and read every single day? It's the illusion of choice. Think about it. The mainstream media is owned by only a handful of megacorporations with vested interests. But on the other hand, the internet is an interconnected network of billions of sources. So you can research information for yourself from multiple sources, or you can blindly accept what you hear or read in the mainstream media, never questioning what you are being told. This gives you a false sense of reality. I mean, do you actually know what you think you know? Or have you been programmed to accept someone else's version of events? Think about it. This is Darren McBreen, and I want you to break the matrix at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv and listen to The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on your mind.